Happy Saturday, happy Saturday, happy Saturday. This is Forrest out in St. Louis, chilling in front of the fireplace on an awesome Saturday evening here. Welcome. This is the first time catching me live. Make sure you're telling me, tell me what part of the country you're chiming in from. I'm sure you're out there enjoying yourself, probably watching reruns of Sex and the City. I don't know. Who knows? But two things that I learned today. One, I went over to the Apple store and bought myself this little plug-in adapter thingy right here, because the plan was to plug this webcam into this adapter and then plug this adapter into my iPad so I could have this camera run through my iPad instead of through my computer. Well, long story short, everything worked until I plugged it into my iPad, and the iPad said, sorry, you don't have enough power to power the device, which means there wasn't enough power in my iPad to send the current back through the deal to the camera to make it work. So back to the drawing board with that. This is going back to the store. I'm going to have to figure out another plan. I'm pretty sure if I plug this adapter into a computer, a laptop like an Apple computer, which I don't have yet, and plug that in, and it'll probably work because there's enough power going through the computer or the iMac or whatever it might be to power up the cameras. I really like this Logitech camera. It puts out a really good sound, has real good quality to it. The challenge is the USB connector on here. There's two types. There's like the old school type and there's a new school type. Well, the built-in USB on my computer is old school, and it's got the camera has a new school, so there's a little bit of wiggle room in there. So last couple of nights I've been doing a live, bump the cord, I lose connection. So anyway, lesson learned. When you put old school with new school, sometimes the technology just doesn't work. So we'll figure it out. It's not going to be the end of the world. Hey, Nate, thanks for swinging by. Laura, thanks for swinging by. Wes, thanks for swinging by. So check this out. One, tell me, have you seen the movie? Have you seen the movies Maleficent yet? There's two of them out. Very cool movies. We like them. The most recent one is Maleficent. I think I'm saying it right. Maleficent.
Yeah.
Yep. Mistress of Evil. Now, I highly recommend that you watch the first one before you watch the second one, because the second one won't make a lot of sense because they're all characters from the first one, however she says it. I would highly recommend those. Very cool movie, fun movie. So I think we're actually going to watch the second one again tonight.
Yeah, it's really good.
So it was really good. We liked it, but we're sort of weird. We also like the Jack the Giant Slayer. If you haven't seen that one yet,
oh yeah,
that movie is so cool. Just a fun movie about Jack and the Beanstalk. If you haven't seen it yet, it's pretty cool. Matter of fact, the one the two-headed giant in there was actually created by one of the people. If you've ever seen there's a series on TV called Face Off, where they go in and they do the makeup artist stuff, and one of the contestants in the finals actually won. That was one of their beasts, and they actually wanted to be in that movie. So that's cool. Very cool. So anyway, absolutely. So I'm trying not to bump my cord, you guys. If I do, I'll just do a part two, and hopefully we won't do this for long. Because anyway, so talking about things, 3 simple tips I use to overcome setting unrealistic expectations, which help me not to be frustrated and enroll customers on a daily basis. And what we learned from the movie Maleficent, if I'm saying that right. And I've got 4 bonus tips for successful goal setting that I'll share with you guys if you hang around to the end. I'll tell you how you guys can get those. As a matter of fact, I'll just tell you now. Send me a private message if you want the 4 goals for successful, or the 4 tips for successful goal setting. I'll get those out to you. Hey, Angel, thanks for swinging by. So check this out. So a lot of people get frustrated, and I learned this. And I was listening to Ray this morning. He was talking about how people they get frustrated, they get angry, they get upset. For example, he did a live on how to use Facebook Messenger. It was 2 hours long, man. It was just like deep dive, break it down step by step, and he took a bunch of messages that people prospecting messages, he broke them down, he critiqued them, and you talk about just taking all the whipped cream off the mess and broke it down and made it very easy to understand of how, he went into the psychology of understanding what people say. And one of the things that happened was this is the very first time that he's ever had a webinar where everybody that paid for it showed up. So he said normally in the past about 30% of the people that paid for something will show up, and there was always room on the webinar. Nobody wouldn't be able to get in. So Needless to say, I didn't get in, but I just called in an audio and I listened to it and I took notes, and it was just effective. The cool thing about it, there's a paid recording, so I got the paid recording so I can go back and listen to it. When I get a couple of hours, I could take some more notes and actually do some screenshots on some of the scripts and some of the things you talked about, which is very neat. So very, very neat. And what that brings it back to, one is I want to talk about what I learned, and we'll get back to that here in just a second. What I learned from the movie Maleficent is the preconceived ideas. In other words, you may be at work with somebody and somebody says something about somebody who says something about somebody, and by the time it comes back around, it turns into this really bad rumor about something that didn't really happen. And that's basically sort of the way the movie went. It went from you got to watch the first movie to watch the second movie, but basically the way it breaks it down is you see, matter of fact, I was watching another show last night called Witcher it's on Netflix, I think. And basically the same thing happened. Is there was a preconceived idea about one of the characters, and then everything went around the other way, and it's like, oh well, that's not really the way it should be. So it changed everybody's mind. So the lesson learned in that movie is don't judge somebody based on what somebody else said about somebody else who said somebody else about them. The best way to get out of the rumor mill, get rid of the gossip mill, get out of that, is simply go talk to the person. If you think you have an issue with somebody, the media nowadays is masterful at creating false images, and the reason they do that, and they love creating negative news, they write negative headlines about positive stuff because they want you to click on it, because the only way they know they're going to keep their shareholders is by getting somebody to click on that link that goes to the page, and then they can say, oh yeah, we got 200 million views on this article, when the article really has not, the headline really has nothing to do with what's in the article. It's called clickbaiting, and they're famous for that. I wish the federal government would come out and make a law that says you can't, your headline or whatever has to do with what's in the story, because they write negative headlines to get you to click on them. And the news right now is famous for twisting something and getting people to look over here, like, hey, look over here, while the real stuff is going on over here. And they're really good at creating a rumor mill and putting out almost false and pretenses to get you to look at something, because they realize that people have about a 9-point, exactly, Angel, distractions. They have about a 9-second attention span, and they're not going to go do their due diligence. They're not going to use the Googles to actually do the research. They're not going to go to the library and look up history. They're just going to throw a bunch of stuff out because they have an agenda, right? And their agenda is to make money. So one of the things that when you back up, for example, the people that didn't get on Ray's webinar, some people that got all bent out of shape about it, like, I spent $20 and he's just trying to rip people off. One of the things that I realized, and one of the things he pointed out, was if you're in this business to make a bunch of money and you get triggered because somebody says no, or because you think somebody's trying to steal your $20, what's going to happen when something really serious happens? What's going to happen when one of the people that you enrolled, who enrolled somebody else, goes out and enrolls this huge team because they have a bunch of influence, and it could happen. You just don't know who knows who and who's going to come on board. Let's say, for instance, they go out and they enroll a bunch of people, and they have this huge team, and you're like, yeah, I got this big team, man, and, I still think dude owes me $20 because I couldn't get on that webinar, because you get triggered by little stuff. What happens when this guy that's enrolled all these people, and you think you're the stuff because somehow he knew somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody, so you got this big team, and then all of a sudden the bright shining star down here sees a bright shining object over here, and he's like, you know what, I'm going to go move over there, and because that's the influence, his whole team goes with him, and next thing you know, you're down to you and your two buddies. How are you going to be triggered? What are you going to do? Are you just like going to run out and jump in front of traffic and, because the world came to an end, the sky is falling, oh my God, whatever, the world hates me, nobody likes me, I'm going to go eat some worms? Or are you going to realize that just happens, that you have absolutely no control over what somebody else is going to do? So I want to share this with you guys, and this is one of the things that the reason I don't get bent out of shape if I send somebody a prospecting message and they say no. I don't get bent out of shape about it. If somebody sends me a prospecting message like they did a couple of days ago, and it just comes back to me, and it was so funny the way this guy replied. It was hilarious to me. I just heard this little boy voice like, don't reach out. And it was just, that's what I heard in my head. So I just replied back to him, blocked him, and moved on. Why? Because I knew the next day I was going to reach out to another 60 people. And then the following day, I didn't know how many people I was going to reach out to. I just said I was going to do it all day long. And I reached out to 158 people. And then people asked me, well, how'd you reach out to so many people? One at a time. With a system and a lot of practice and patience, because we have a big goal. And I'm not saying that to brag, is the things that I've learned. And here's the tips, 3 simple tips that I've learned to overcome setting unrealistic expectations. I actually wrote them down so I can stay on track. The first one is to set realistic goals, right? Realistic goals. So if you don't have a daily method of operation, matter of fact, my wife and I were just sitting here. She designed me these freaking cool t-shirts, and I got to get some. We've got to make up some more here so I can wear them on the lives. But we were sitting down here, and we were working out the actual cost per shirt, because it's got a pocket design, it's got a full back on the back, there's a cost per shirt, there's the design time, there's the actual run time and pressing it and everything else. How long does it actually take her to do that? And then how much is she going to pay herself per hour to do that? So there's a real cost in doing that. So she knows that. So she knows how much time she's going to invest in actually making a shirt outside of the art design time. And art design time, of course, is she needs to figure out, I'm going to charge $125 to design art per hour, then break that down per quarter hour, depending on how much time it's going to take, whatever she decides to do that. So when she gets somebody that says, hey, can you make me 50 shirts? She knows that she can send them back a bid that says, I'm going to make this much money, and I'm going to charge you this much. And then she knows that on a flat rate, how much she needs that whenever time she sells a shirt, she says, cha-ching, 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 right? So she's going to know this, right? Because she's tracking, and this is sort of number 2, and I'll actually come back to this in terms of goal setting. So what does that have to do with goal setting? Goal setting has to do with, if she gets an order for 50 shirts, or let's say that she wants to make $1,000 this month with her t-shirt business, she needs to know how much time it's going to take her per shirt. She's going to need to know how much money that she's going to have to spend on each shirt. She's going to have to sit down and say, okay, I'm going to have this design. Is it going to be a single, double? Like mine's a double decal. It's like a vinyl on top of a vinyl. The vinyl on top, it's a front and a back. So from the design time on the computer, so she's got to physically go somewhere and buy the t-shirts. There's time with going, coming, and back. So there's time involved in that. Time costs money. So she needs to know, and having a realistic goal, if she wants to make X amount of dollars, she needs to know how much that's going to cost. So she needs to set a goal. My goal is going to be this. I'm going to make this much money per shirt. So how does she do that? So how does she set a realistic expectation? How does she set a realistic goal? Same thing with prospecting, right? If she's going to set that realistic goal, she needs to know how much time it's going to take her to make X number of shirts. If she wants to make $1,000, she's got to back into that. And the only way she can back into that is know how much time it's going to take per shirt, how much money it's going to cost per shirt. So once she figures that out, once she knows that real trackable number, she can write it down and say, okay, it's going to take me an hour to make each shirt. Each shirt's going to cost X, or whatever that time is, and it's going to take me this much time to make that many shirts. If I need to make that many shirts to make $1,000, right? So she knows that. That's trackable. That's goal setting. Her goal has been measured. So how do you set a realistic expectation if you've never prospected before? So if you've never prospected before, what I've learned and what I use and what works really good for me, and if you're like me, you're like, oh, well, how do I reach out to 20 people? Somebody yesterday asked me, how did I reach out to 158 people? I just started reaching out. And so that's the moral to the story here, is set a time, whatever time that you're going to reach, whatever time works for you. It's 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour. Maybe you have a day off where you can kick out the dog, kick out the kids, lock the kids in the closet, whatever. You have kids. If you don't have kids, sit at home yourself. Get on your computer, turn off all your distractions, turn on some freaking AC/DC in the background, or whatever music motivates you, or whatever you need to do to keep it going. Fire up the coffee pot, get you some water, get you some lunch, sit down, make sure you have a bathroom close, and sit down and start reaching out to people. And it doesn't matter which social media platform that you're on, you're going to reach out to people. Hey, Jennifer Webb, you're going to reach out to people. It doesn't matter if it's on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, or whatever. You're going to reach out to people, and you sit there for whatever time frame that is and just reach out to people. And when you're done, you're done. And you can sit down and you can measure that. Okay, I prospected for an hour. And here's the catch in that. It's very, very important that during that hour of prospecting that you actually measure it. So if you sit down for an hour and you prospect people, don't let interruptions mess up your time. So if you get a message that somebody replies back to you and says, yeah, I'm interested, just let it sit in your inbox. They're not going anywhere. And this is part of posturing, and that's absolutely okay. Just let it sit in your inbox. It'll sit there. because your whole goal is you need to know how many people you're going to be able to reach out to in that time frame, right? And of course, you need to have an effective message, because if you message wrong, if you're spamming people with your link, if you're assuming or presuming the person's position without getting their permission, or simply what that means is you're trying to close the sale before you get to the closing step. You're trying to close the sale before you're trying to be at step 1 before you started, or you're trying to be at step 10, the closing step, before you have step 1. So simply what that means is before you get to the closing part, before you get to the selling part, before you get to that, you need to ask somebody if they're open to taking a look at what you got, right? You need to ask them if they're open. That's the first thing. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You can't assume that somebody wants to buy your stuff. If you're selling a weight loss product, you can't assume that because they're overweight, they want to buy your stuff. Maybe they like being fat. Maybe they're just not in the mental state to lose weight. Maybe they've had too many bad relationships with other weight loss companies that they just don't feel like dealing with you right now, right? So before you send them your link to your weight loss stuff and say, hey, my friend Susan lost 52 pounds on this product, you should try it, you're going to get the finger back from me if I'm in a bad mood and I just had a bad deal and now you're calling me fat, right? Rather than that, you go back and you have a normal conversation with somebody and you see that they maybe put a post on their Facebook page or their Facebook wall or maybe a page or something that says, man, I'm so discouraged. I just can't seem to lose this weight. Then you send them a private message that says, hey, I saw that you made a post that said you're discouraged, that you've tried to lose a little bit of weight. What have you done in the past? What have you tried in the past? You have a normal conversation with them and says, you know what, I've got a couple of friends. I don't know if this is going to work for you, but a couple of my friends have done blah, 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 blah. If you're open, I can get you some information. Maybe you'd like to try it too. If not, absolutely okay, no big deal. Just let me know if you like. Maybe I can send you out some samples, depending on whatever your deal is, right? You might have samples you send out to somebody. You might have an informational link that you send out with some samples behind that. Whatever it is, you're going to have a normal conversation. You're not automatically going to say, hey, I saw you put a post out there that says you're struggling with your weight. I've got this cool deal. My friend Susan lost 52 pounds in 10 minutes. You should check this out. No, you just call them fat. You're assuming that because they put a post out there that said they're discouraged with their weight, that they're ready to buy your stuff. And they're not. They might have just put a feeling out there that says, I'm feeling bummed because I'm fat. I'm feeling bummed because I don't feel healthy. I don't feel good about myself. Maybe I just, maybe they just broke up. Maybe their husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, whatever, just left them because they're not in good shape. So maybe they're feeling bad. So before you cross that road into that deal, assuming that they're somewhere, maybe you need to ask them first if they're open to taking a look at your deal. And the way you do that is you have a normal conversation with them, right? So that's how you set it. And what does that have to do with goal setting? So let me come back here. Set realistic goals. So as you're going through your prospecting, right, you're going to send out messages. Are you open? 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 And at the end of whatever time frame that comes up to, at the end of that, somebody, you're going to say, oh, damn, 10 people reply back. Great. Okay, then what do we do? Then you follow up with part 2. Great. I see that you're open to taking a look at what I've got going on. I've got a 15-minute video that explains exactly what I do. If I send it to you, how soon can you watch it? Can you watch it now or a little bit later? Because I need to put you on my calendar and make sure I don't miss following up with you, because it's very important. I've got 10 other people that want to see this as well. And they're going to say, I can watch it now, I can watch it later, whatever. Or they may not reply back to you right then. That's absolutely okay. You just let it sit in the inbox. And you wait until they say, okay, I can watch it right now. I've got a couple of people out there that I sent that similar message to, and I'm just waiting for them to reply back. I'm not going to send them a link until they say, yeah, I can watch it. And when they say I can watch it, then I'm going to say, would you like me to email it or text it to you? And my whole goal there is to get them to say text, because I want their mobile number. Say, great, it's going to come from this number. I'm going to send them my mobile number, and I'm going to have them do that. And that's how I'm going to follow up. But I'm not going to respond to those people that respond back to my message. I don't care what they respond, whether they say no, not now, never, neighbor, I'm not interested. I'm just going to let them sit in my inbox, because the goal there to help me set the realistic expectation, the realistic goals, is I need to know how many people I can reach out to in that hour. Now, that's part 2 to that is, how long is it going to take me to follow up? So you're going to track that. So maybe you send out 100 messages or whatever time frame, maybe 30 messages, 50 messages, 20 messages, 10 messages, and you get a reply back. Okay, so now you send out your follow-up message to that, and then you've got to sit and wait, and you need to write this down somewhere. Okay, and maybe you get 3 people to say yes, and you say, okay, it took me 10 minutes, it took me 15 minutes to reply back to that. So you spend a certain amount of time prospecting, you spend a certain amount of time following up. so you know what that time frame is. You have a realistic expectation of setting a goal. So next time for tomorrow, you say, great, yesterday I spent 30 minutes prospecting, 10 people replied back, and you're never going to know what that number is. You're just going to say, on an average, if I reached out to 100 people, I got 17 people that replied back. I reached out to 158 people. I had 12 people that wanted more information. I don't know what that percentage is, but I'm sure quite a few of those, because I haven't seen my message yet, will probably reply back, and that message will go up. But I've also added another 60 on top of that, and another 60 tomorrow, and another 60 the next day, and another 60 the next day, and I may find another day where I do another 150. But the only way I can do that is have a system in place that it's time. So how do you set a realistic expectation or realistic goal when you're prospecting? One, you just start with a time. Whatever your time is, whatever's going to work for you, that's you. Whether it's 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, or an hour, or whatever, that's your time. You're the only one that's going to know that. In that time frame, again, you need to make sure that you don't have any interruptions. Don't reply to anybody. Don't pick up your phone. Don't watch a movie. Don't get distracted. If you really need to go to the bathroom, stop your timer, go use the bathroom, come back and restart the timer, because you need to know how many people you can reach out to in your time. And as your skill set improves, as your response rate gets improves, some of you are going to get stuck because somebody's going to reply back and it's going to throw a loop to you like a normal conversation. Somebody's going to say, what company is it? And you're going to go, oh, my God. They asked me, what company is this? What do I say? Oh, God, somebody told me I should never tell them the name of my company. What do I do? Tell them the name of the company. It's okay. It's okay. And here's how you do that. Absolutely, the name of the company is X. Have you ever heard of them? And just wait for the reply back. If they don't reply back, it's okay. Just move on. If they reply back and say, no, what is it? Great. I've got this 15-minute, whatever your time frame is, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, hour. I'm not telling you how long it has to be. Whatever your video, I got a Zoom web, whatever it is that you're going to send them. Use a tool. Don't be the tool. Send them a tool. You say that explains exactly what it does, much better than I do. Can you watch it now or a little bit later so I can schedule an appropriate follow-up? I don't want you to fall through the cracks. And they're going to say whatever they reply back to you. Well, can't you just tell me what it is? Posture time, right? Posture time, right? I'm sorry. I just really don't have time. I've got 15 other people I need to follow up with. If you don't have time to watch the video right now, absolutely okay. Shoot me back a message. Let me know when you got 15 minutes, and I'll set up a time to get that video to you and move on. That's posture. It's moved on. It's okay. It's absolutely okay, and just move on. Hey, Faye, thanks for swinging by. So just move on. So that's the posturing part. That's setting realistic expectations and goals. So I went in a little bit, but the goal setting part is the way you're going to learn how to set goals is just set down, set yourself a time frame, see how many people you reach out to. Number 2, don't compare yourself to anybody else. Don't try to compare yourself to what Forrest does. I've been in sales a long time. I'm really good on the phone. I'm really good and have really good wordsmith kung fu. If somebody says something, you can ask my wife. If somebody says something, I can sit and think about it for a minute. I can respond back. I can respond back sarcastically and bring the heat, or I can respond back smartly and get them to take an action, or I can respond back and get them to say something that I want them to say, because I can lead them down a path of what I want them to say. And I have a skill set to do that. You may not have the skill set to do that because maybe you just started your business today. And that's absolutely okay. Keep it simple. Let the tools do the work for you. You know, honesty is the best policy. I just started doing this business yesterday. All I know is story, 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 story. The best success that I've seen is when people watch this video. If you got 15 minutes to watch the video, great. If you don't, absolutely okay, and move on. That's posturing, because you don't want to beg them to be in your business, and that's absolutely okay. The more posture you have, the more professional you seem. You don't want people telling you like, oh, just send me this or just tell me that. It's like, no, you don't let people tell you what to do. So very, very important. So don't compare yourself to others. So what does that mean? Don't compare yourself to Forrest. Don't compare yourself to the person standing up on stage that said, I just made $186 million last month. Don't compare yourself to that. Why? Because you don't know what their backstory is. You don't know that they may have been in another company, that they had 10,000 reps in that company, and for whatever reason, maybe something happens, or maybe they decide, you know, I'm just going to move. People quit their jobs every day and go to a better opportunity. I've seen managers in the automobile industry that they will leave and go from one dealership to another, and a bunch of the salespeople will follow them because they like working for them. And the same thing happens with anybody. People quit their jobs on a daily basis. People change from one network marketing company to another network marketing company. At least professionals do, and it has nothing to do with whether that's good or bad or ugly. Sometimes they just do. So if you don't know their backstory and they come on board and they say, how did this person go double black diamond in 35 minutes? For those of you that are in network marketing, I don't know what a double black diamond is either. It's some kind of shiny thing up deal. You've got to have like 10 million people on your team and it creates a big check. Someday up there along the rainbow, maybe I'll be a double, triple black, quadruple diamond or whatever it is, or making a lot of money. And I can tell you what it is, but right now I'm not. So the moral of my story is don't compare yourself to somebody else. Don't compare yourself to somebody like me who has a great skill set of calling people on the phone and doing follow-up and doing prospecting and knows how to follow up and close somebody. Don't compare yourself to that. Compare yourself to you. I just got started today. The realistic expectations in this is, we're talking about realistic goals, also have realistic expectations that I'm going to reach out to 10 people, and they're probably all going to say no, or they're probably all going to not reply. Some of them may want, if you're really excited, like, hey, I just started this new deal. You got to come check it out. And they go, yeah, cool, what is it? And you'll send them a video, and you'll probably say all the wrong stuff. And you'll probably really screw it up. And you'll probably talk too much. And you wonder why people, like, we had a meeting in our house, and we talked too much, and nobody enrolled. And we didn't run in the kitchen and jump off the back deck and like, oh, God, we just laughed about it. I was like, you know what? We shouldn't have talked so much. You just learn from that, right? You learn as you grow. And I already talked about this. Know the numbers. If you don't track it, you can't measure it. And I talked about that a lot in the beginning. Make sure you track what you do. So how do you track what you do? We talked about the time frame. How many people can you reach out to? So next, when somebody responds back to you, you need to grab that person's name, contact information, and put it on some type of spreadsheet, whether that spreadsheet's on a notebook that you physically write it in, whether it's on a Google Docs spreadsheet, whatever it is. You need to put their name, you need to put a date, you need to put their name, you need to put down what tool you sent them, and you need to put when you're going to follow up with them, and you need to have a follow-up schedule. Set along with it, a 4-day, a 10-day, whatever your is, a 4-day, I have a 4-day and a 10-day, a 4-day and a 15-day and a 30-day, a 60-day, and 90-day, and I follow up with people till they tell me to go jump in the lake or that they've done something else or moved on. And that's absolutely okay. You got to remember, excuse me, I just did a Marco Rubio. Sorry about that. For those of you that don't get that, it's a political thing.
It's okay to drink the water.
It's okay to drink the water. So track what you do. So you're gonna get on. You're gonna prospect, right? And this is how to overcome setting unrealistic expectations. Is you have to know what you do. So one, sit down and schedule a time with no interruptions, and it's going to be really hard. And it's okay if you don't do it perfect the first time. Just sit down and keep working at it. You'll get really good. And you want to know what's going to be really exciting, what really gets you motivated is when you start sending out these messages, you're sending out the right message and you're sending out the right prospecting message. And when your kung fu gets really good is like when you get somebody who says, yeah, I'd like it. And you enroll a customer and they say, yeah, I like it. And you enroll another customer and you're like, yeah, I like it. And you're like, oh man, I got 3 people. I'm going to send out some more messages. I'm going to do this again. And you get better and you get better and you get better and you learn how to reply. And over time, you start hanging out or maybe enroll in a real cool group like Link Makers where you get some guys that really help you and you throw up your message, go, what do I say? And you get a bunch of people say, you probably should reply back with this. And then you go back, reply back to that, and you come back with a win. You're like, yeah, absolutely awesome. Got a real good response. Got a new customer, got a new teammate, whatever it is. But you're only going to get good if you track what you do. You're going to reduce frustrations if you don't have unrealistic expectations. If you've just started in business, unless you have a huge team, and I'm not talking to you and you know that's not you, but if you just started today, this is your first business, whether it's a boutique, a t-shirt business or whatever, if you're not tracking, and I just looked at my wife, that's why I looked over there. Mm-hmm. If you're not tracking what you do, you're not going to know what you do, right? So track what you do, set realistic expectations, don't compare yourself to other people, and you're going to have a win. You're not going to be stressed out. I think one of the things that I thought about this morning, we were talking about why people get angry and frustrated and take their frustration out on somebody else, is because they heard some guy sitting on his guy or person sitting on their ivory tower saying, yeah, I just made $2,500 in 15 minutes. You should sign up with me. And the person signs up, and they look at this person. They don't know this person's an influencer. They don't know this person has a backstory. They don't know what it is. And every time you say, good, I just enrolled somebody else. Yeah, I just enrolled somebody else. Yeah, I just enrolled somebody else. And they get frustrated because 3 days in, they haven't enrolled anybody. They can't figure out where the link is that they're supposed to send. They don't know how to follow up. You know, their mom, their dad, their brother, or sister, all their friends told them to go jump in the lake. They're not going to be one of them. They're not going to be in one of them pyramid things, right? Whatever it is, they're totally frustrated, and they get all angry and upset. Hey, Dion, thanks for swinging by. So you get frustrated and you get angry. Then you take that anger out on somebody else because you had an unrealistic expectation that everybody in the world was going to sign up. We had I forgot what we were doing, but we were sitting down and we were talking about when we started a business a while back. It's like, oh, you're going to have all these people, and we're going to get promoted to this, and we're going to get promoted to that. And we reached out to a bunch of people, and they all said no. And we're like, man, that's not going to happen the way we want it to happen. So set realistic expectations and have realistic expectations that you're probably going to get more people telling you no than you're going to get telling you yes, and that's absolutely okay. And here's the thing I really want to put is, don't assume somebody's position without asking them for open and giving them information. And here's sort of a sales closing tip. Most people have to see something 5 to 12 times before they say yes. So you've got to follow up, and you 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 got to follow up. And then they'll say yes. Because why? They have life going on. They don't understand the value and what you have till they know what the value is, until they know how it's really going to impact their life. Just because you send them an exciting video might not bring any value to them, because they're going, okay, I get it. I sort of understand this, but what's that going to do for me? How is it going to relieve me? And when you send a message to somebody and say, hey, if you decide to do this, guess what? You can send people the exact same message that I sent you. You can send them the exact same video that I just sent you. Now you've set a realistic expectation you mean I just have to send somebody this message in this video? And of course, then they've got to set a time frame. They got to do that over and over and over and over and over and over and over. So it's not easy. It's simple, but it's not easy, because it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of consistency. It takes showing up every day, if you decide to show up every day, to build a big business. So this is Forrest out in St. Louis. So my bonus to you guys, like I said at the beginning, is 4 tips for successful goal setting. If you'd like that, shoot me a private message. I'll get that over to you. It's a really, really cool article directly from Success Magazine. I think you'll absolutely dig it. I love you. Jesus loves you. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. If you're ready to take your business to the next level, set realistic goals. Don't compare yourself to others, and track everything you do so you know your numbers. I love you. Jesus loves you. There's absolutely nothing to do about it. Live healthy, my friends. Going out and make an extreme impact. Peace out. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.